Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Chemical Hearts. Chemical Hearts follows the story of two seniors in high school as they become dual editors in chief of their school magazine, and the rather emotional past of one of theirs begins to surface. Chemical Hearts was another online advanced screening in which I went in blind. I knew Lili Reinhart was in it, and that was about it. Just from the name and the poster, I could pretty much glean that it was a teenage romance, and it is. But outside of that, went in blind. And ultimately, this one is kind of hard for me to review because it really wasn't my cup of tea, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad movie. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives. The biggest positive for me actually was the cinematography and the overall direction of the film. There is one moment particularly where a kiss happens and they cut like 3 times. It's horrible. That one scene just threw me. But outside of that scene particularly, the rest of the film is actually quite beautiful. It has a very dreary color palette throughout, but it perfectly sets up the tone, the atmosphere for what it is you're going to experience. Plus, it just looks beautiful. I think it's directed really, really well. The editing outside of that one moment is also done very well. The music comes into nice effect, nothing spectacular, but it definitely adds to the ambiance. So from a technical level across the board, I think it is a solid film. Austin Abrams is really good as our kind of awkward, kind of quirky leading character. Lili Reinhart also does a good job. Not great, but she's good in the film. And I think they have a nice repertoire to them as we move throughout the film. I also loved they're like best friends. The people of color are on the outlines in this movie, off to the sides, and we have an LGBTQ love quarrel going on with two of our women of color. And honestly, I was more interested in what was going on over there. Particularly his friend who was in the magazine. She had dreadlocks. She was awesome, and I pretty much most all of the time just wanted to go hang out with her. I will say, I haven't read the book, but the script for the film doesn't go by stereotypical teenage romance plots. Where our characters end is quite a different place than you would normally anticipate for this type of film. However, I also have quite a few negatives when it comes to Chemical Hearts. The biggest negative is the script. While everything looks beautiful, the dialogue just really feels clunky. It doesn't come off natural to me. A lot of what these characters are saying is a little bit cringeworthy. And unfortunately, as often is the case with teenage films in general, teenage drama, coming of age films, the characters don't feel like they're real teenagers speaking. Plus, we are just inundated with this really sad story. Honestly, just feels like too much. It's just too much overall. Lay it on thick, and they lay it on. They lay it on really thick, and it was just overwhelming to me. It really overtook what could have been a more realistic, sweet teen romance. It's almost oppressive film. In saying that, I also found myself to get quite bored. Long stretches where we're just kind of mulling around in the same areas. We're not learning too much about the characters. We're not really advancing the relationship all that much. There are stretches where it doesn't feel like much of substance is really coming out. And when we do get big events, they are just so over the top that it's like, oh, alrighty then. And to say all of that, this movie comes in at right about an hour and a half, even a little bit shorter than an hour and a half. So the pacing is just really not there for a movie to be that short in runtime. Believe me, feeling like there are so many stretches of blech. Also, this film does what many a teen young romance film has done in the past. And there's a section within here that basically glorifies stalking behavior. And I really think we as a culture need to get past having our characters, who most often are male, spy on the women and have it be seen as something endearing, have them getting this information that helps them get the girl, so on and so forth. And it really kind of disturbed me to see it here. Yet again, not really addressed, not really have a consequence for it. It's that kind of deceptive behavior that I want us to move away from in these kind of movies. However, I do feel that the film will appeal to fans of teenage romances. This is not a comedy. There's not that many laughs in here at all. Particularly if you are on board with these tragic teenage romance films, The Fault in Our Stars, 5 Feet Apart, that kind of film. I think you're really going to love this movie. It's ethereal enough in its atmosphere that I can see why teenagers would easily get swept up in something like this and really identify with the tone of the film and thus the characters within the film as well. However, it's not for me. I'm not the target demographic, and it isn't a film that I would see myself revisiting. It's certainly not one of the tragic teenage romances I could see myself watching again. So, that is my review of Chemical Hearts. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. Also, join me in the discussion. Are you excited to see Chemical Hearts? And what is your favorite tragic teenage romance? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!